Secret. Oh wow. Can I talk to the Nosferatu who wrote these questions? I'd like to opt out. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Of course I'll answer. That leaves us with a decision. Like, I can always give a bullshit answer. One that technically meets the requirements, but it's a cop-out. Or I could tell on the juicy stuff, the real dirt, the real scandalous stuff, but you can't metagame in November. Like, none of y'all actually know this, so don't be acting like you do. Before I was embraced, the first time. The first Auntie D was a mommy. I had 3 beautiful children, and 2 of them are still alive, Like, they both live in the same memory care center, and it's one of the nice ones. You know how it is, babies grow up, and they have babies of their own. Those babies have babies, and some years back, one of my babies joined First Light. She was my great-granddaughter. I keep tabs on all of them. She joined the military, special ops, and she was a First Light agent, and that was just so fascinating to me. Because I don't have any negative feelings about the Second Inquisition. I like hunters. If there had been more hunters back in the day, maybe I would never have turned out like this and gone through what I went through and did the things I did. How can you hate them? They're noble. So she joined First Light, and I thought, like, I've been in kindred society, like the bottom of it, like the dregs, but still, I learned a few things. Maybe I could help her out, like advance her career. Maybe give her some tips on how to stay safe, and I did that. Re-entered her life. And told her who I was. Once this happens to you, it doesn't matter what your circumstances are. You always have to keep your living family at a distance, because if you don't hurt them, somebody else will. I raised my children, but I don't feel like I ever fully raised my children, and she looked so much like my youngest, It was like having a second chance to be a part of my baby's life again. She was an adult, of course, but they're always your babies, And just to be close to human beings. People have always asked me if I resent Thin Bloods being subordinate, and no, I didn't want to be in kindred society. Not the top, not the bottom. I wanted to be human. I wanted to be with humans again. I knew I missed humans, but you don't really know how much you miss them until you're around them again. But no, I was an informant. I was a mole, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. Coming into contact with First Light, it was a rocky start. There were some rough times. They got a little rough with me. But in time, she saw me for what I was, and we started to develop like a rapport. She started to trust me, and it was kind of like a big change in seeing the world for her. There's a kindred, or like a leech. Blank body is sometimes the term. A blank body who wants to help. A blank body that wants to do what's right. Maybe we weren't all these bloodthirsty, sadistic monsters. Like, maybe some of us still had good hearts, and she carried that conviction with her onto the field one day. And when some pretty rose with big, soulful eyes looked up at her with tears streaking their face and begged her not to pull the trigger, she hesitated, just had that crisis of conscience that made her hold back. She just questioned herself for a fraction of a second, and that was all the time that rose needed to rip her ribcage open like a centerfold. It was just and these things happen, but it's hard. It's hard. A couple of years down the line, her son followed in her footsteps. I'm proud of him. His career is going great. And I was an informant for him as well, But I never told him who I was. I didn't bond. I didn't win his trust. I didn't try to sell him on the idea that I was a good person or I wanted to be his friend. No, I told him, you see fangs, you pull that trigger. You see me, pull that trigger. It's like, fuck it. Shoot first, ask questions never.